The Sony A74 is the best mirrorless all-rounder you can buy right now. It isn't as powerful, of course, as the Sony A1 or as fast as the Canon EOS R6 or even as affordable as its predecessor, the Sony A7 III. But this does offer a brilliant blend of photographic power and video versatility. Today in this video, I am going to explain my own experience with this incredible machine as a wedding photographer and a filmmaker and why I chose this over the A7S III, besides the price of course. So let's dive into it. Whether you're shooting photos or videos, the Sony A74 does a really good job of sticking to your chosen subject, and in the case of people and animals, locking focus onto their eyes. With a cropped 4K 60p mode and rolling shutter issues, it isn't quite the perfect video camera, but with support for 10-bit videos, no recording limits as for the A7 III, which is 30 minutes, and new tricks like focus breathing compensation, this camera does offer more than enough quality and flexibility for photographers and filmmakers like me who are increasingly today being asked to shoot an equivalent amount of video. Let's talk now about the photo quality. The improvement with the A74 is with the image quality, of course. You would expect more sharpness with the extra resolution, and it certainly delivers that. However, you might also think that the smaller pixels would make A74 worse in low light, but nope. So Sony has improved its color science with every new camera lately, and this A74 has perhaps its best setup yet. Overall, Sony's A74 delivers perhaps the best images of any of its cameras, with a great balance between detail, high ISO performance, and color accuracy, of course, with a fair price. You can have a look at these pictures that were taken using the Sony A74 together with Sony 70-200mm f4 pictures from the wedding ceremony that we just shot. Now let's talk about the video quality. Finally, we're on to video, the one area where rival cameras today have moved well beyond the A7 III. Fortunately, A74 has big improvements as well in that area too, along with one drawback, but let us get back to it later on. The A74 is clearly a very capable stills camera, but what about video? It makes even bigger leaps here. For filmmakers like me who would like to color grade their videos, the jump to 10-bit 422 color sampling from 8-bit on the A7 III is a big one. The maximum video bitrate has also jumped from 100 megabytes to 600 megabytes or 500 megabytes if you're in Europe. And you can today shoot 4K 30p video using the full width of the sensor. Perhaps the only slight disappointment is that A74's 4K 60p mode is only available with a crop with a Super 35, which is similar in size to an APS-C sensor. Naturally, Sony actually wants video shooters like us to upgrade to cameras like the Sony A7S III, but that might still be a slight disappointment to those who were hoping for a completely uncompromising hybrid camera, but I doubted it so much. For myself, I'm not that disappointed as I do shoot mainly with the 16-35 and I don't really need that 120 FPS, so even with the crop I still get 24mm view, which is convenient when you're shooting weddings. The biggest step up from the Sony A7 III though is undoubtedly the A74's video quality because it oversamples its 4K 30p video from the sensor's 7K resolution. You can get an impressively sharp noise-free image even up to ISO 12800. Also, the ability, as I said before, to shoot 4K in 10-bit 422 gives us color graders much more flexibility than on the Sony A7 III. And to really squeeze the best video quality out of this beast, you guys want to shoot in the flat S-Log3 profile as that provides the most dynamic range. This gives the Sony A74 a lot of flexibility and depth for different shooting situations, marking it out as a true hybrid camera that's pretty much the equal of the Sony A7S III if you don't need that high frame rate modes and if you don't mind the crop. With 13 stops of dynamic range in Sony's S-Log3 mode, along with 10-bit 422 color and reasonably high bit rates up to 500 megabytes, image quality is superb and easy to control in post. The lack of noise at high ISO ranges is a huge plus, making, in my opinion, this camera usable in a lot of low and tricky lighting situations. Autofocus and tracking now work in video mode, making it far more dependable for shooting interviews or action. As with photos, it's extremely intuitive to use. You can tap a subject to track it, and it will automatically switch to eye or face tracking as needed. Now, should you buy the Sony A74? Well, I would say yes if your Sony A7 III is starting to feel its age, and it's quite rare for new cameras to make significantly leaps over their predecessors these days, given how mature camera tech is. But the A7 IV is a big upgrade on the A7 III at almost every respect, including resolution, autofocus, usability, and video. It comes with a price premium, but one that will be justified for most people. And I will say, do not buy this camera if value is your main priority, as tempting as the Sony A7 IV is. It is also likely overkill for many amateur photographers if you are starting out. If you don't shoot that much video or tend to specialize in one particular style, then you will get more bang for your buck with a more specialist camera and an extra lens or two with the money saved. Well, let's wrap up this review. A7 IV offers big improvements in resolution, autofocus tracking, video features, and more. But forget about the specs sheet for a second. Sony's largest achievement is that it created a mainstream camera that makes photography and video easier, thanks to AI smarts that can aid any photographer no matter their skill. The biggest drawback is rolling shutter, of course, that might give you pause if you require a silent mode or want to shoot and cropped 4K video. Another issue is the $2,500 price that's more than the A7 III was at launch. Other hybrid cameras in that price range can't quite measure up to this one. Canon's $2,500 20 megapixel EOS R6 is your best alternative to this one, but the resolution is a big step down. Panasonic, let's say, the 24 megapixel S5 and Nikon Z6 Mark II are other decent options, but lack reliability and the use of the A7 IV. So once again, Sony rules the mainstream hybrid camera market and will probably do so for a while to come. So this was my review for the Sony A7 IV after 9 months of its release. I hope you enjoyed it and got something from it. If that was the case, do not hesitate to leave me a comment down below. It can support the channel and helps me make more videos like this one. Let me know what you think in the comment section, and I will see you all on the next one. As I said on my first video, we're going to do this for the next 5 years. So you better stick around. Ciao.